Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to 5 Revenue Killers for e-commerce merchants. My name is Pamela Hazelton. I'm an e-commerce and online business consultant and developer focusing on social media, online marketing, and conversions. We couldn't do these webinars without our sponsors, so I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Riskified. Riskified is an e-commerce fraud prevention solution that is a trusted partner to hundreds of global retailers, including Fortune 500 companies. Riskified provides a simple approve or decline decision for every order submitted for review and charges a fee only for approved orders that generate revenue for merchants. The company commits to guaranteed approval rate, guaranteed review time, and a 100% chargeback guarantee on every approval, allowing merchants to confidently boost sales and expand to new markets while providing a smooth shopping experience to consumers. Thank you once more, Riskified. Let's get started. E-commerce merchants spend significant time and money trying to optimize sales, as well as the omni-channel shopping experience, only to harm revenue with killer conversion mistakes. This is especially the case in larger companies where multiple stakeholders in separate departments measure success in different ways. So instead of giving you a slew of more tips on the little things that you can do, I want to focus on the things you may already be doing that are hurting those sales. Let's talk first about product pages. One of the biggest mistakes made online is pushing the sale too quickly. Now, we all understand that it's a fast-paced world, and images and video help sell products more than anything else. Yes, most people want to get in, order what they want, and then get on with their lives. However, there is such a thing as pushing the sale too quickly by not providing enough information before that valuable add to cart button. A good example is Forever 21, which places the reviews and ratings for its product below everything else. Reviews and ratings will help sell products more than any product description you could ever possibly write. So you want to make sure that you have that information front and center so buyers can make their decision based on factors other than color, size, and price. Another big problem on product pages, which may be killing conversions for you, is the placement of social media icons. Now, every online store needs social icons, sharing icons on their product pages, but where you place them is key. And in this example from Jenny's.com, everything, including the add to wish list and email to a friend, is included in the same block as the primary call to action, which is the add to cart button. This gives shoppers way too many choices on what to do. When your goal is to make a sale, you want to make the sale. So consider moving those icons to a different block on the page, such as beneath the product images and videos. When it comes to getting a shopper to perform a certain action on any kind of page, that call to action button or link needs to be clear and simple, and you don't want to distract them from it. A successful online store spends lots of time and energy and sometimes money creating stellar media such as images and video to support the product it sells. But failing to use images and video that show context of use can actually kill the sale. A great example of this is women's shoes. Many online shoe stores show all these great pictures and 360 views of shoes from all different angles and all different colors. Where they fail is not showing the image of the shoe on someone's foot. And that helps people get a gauge on where the straps fall, or for a woman's shoe, how much of the toe lines are actually showing. These are all very important things that people want to know when they're buying shoes. And it's a big reason why so many women still have not adopted buying their shoes online. So make sure you're using images and video that actually show how the product is used and how it looks, and how it's put together and how it's taken apart. Fitness equipment, kitchen appliances. People have pain points and they need to know how each product is going to address those. Here's another great example. This product page for a stainless steel tumbler that Starbucks sells, it only includes one image of the tumbler itself. What it doesn't show you is that the lid to this tumbler actually comes completely apart into 4 pieces so it can be thoroughly cleansed. And that's a big selling point to people who may leave their tumbler in their car or on their desk and don't want to have to get in there with a pipe cleaner or a toothbrush to clean it. So a context of use or context of care, video, or image set would actually help the company sell many more of this product. Ironically, the instructions on how to take apart this lid are actually very confusing, but a YouTube user has posted a video showing you exactly how to do it. And that's a video that Starbucks could be embedding in this product page to help sell more product. I get that being competitive in pricing is key for a lot of you, but shoppers are becoming more and more savvy about misleading numbers that come from MSRP and list pricing. So there's times when actually providing those list prices are hurting your sales. For example, at the Food Network store, you can purchase a Rachel Ray spatula at an astonishingly 50% less than the list price. The list price of this spatula is $20, which is a pretty hefty price for a flipper. So they show the list price of $19.99 and a savings of $10. But a savvy shopper who happens to cook would rarely consider paying $20 for a spatula, even if it does rest on the side of a pot. So there's a psychology of how much money am I actually saving? And if they feel like they aren't really saving money, then they may think you're trying to get one over on them. So there's time when list prices or competitors' prices make sense, and there are times when they don't. So you have to consider that and not use those list prices and MSRPs on every single product in the store. And I've always talked about making sure that you provide very detailed information about the products that you sell. But there are times when providing too much information can have a negative effect. And a great example is the description for the same spatula I just discussed. It goes into great detail on what you can do with the spatula and how it rests on the side of a pot. But these are things that could better be explained using bullet points and additional images. You don't want to make the shopper read more than he or she has to. That's not to say you need to scale back so much that you affect the SEO of your product pages. You just need to find that healthy balance. The shopping cart is supposed to be the key place that transitions the customer from the product or category page or landing page to the checkout process. It's supposed to be so simple, yet it is often overcomplicated and loses a lot of people along the way. From using confusing words and checkout options and buttons to displaying poorly rated products as alternatives, we can lose these sales in an instant. Take a look at the 5 key poor practices I've shown here from the Food Network site. The remove button is way too apparent, as is the promotional code. When you make promotional and coupon code boxes way too apparent, it sends people off the site to see if they can find a discount code. Confusing messages. This one says free ground shipping on designated items minus $8.95. Those types of messages, if the customer has to stop and wonder what exactly it is that you're saying, that's a problem. Additional checkout options are great. You can actually increase the dollar amounts of sales and the sheer number of sales by offering checkout with PayPal, Visa checkout, MasterPass, and Amazon checkout. But if you bury those components or throw them somewhere on the page where it's not as apparent what those options are. That can cause customers to stop and try to figure out what's going on. While the 1-star dispensing bottle on the right-hand side may seem like it just doesn't sell that product, what it could also do is prompt the shopper to go back and take another look at the products he or she is thinking of buying to see how those are reviewed, and that interrupts the checkout process. And we all know that whenever you interrupt the checkout process, you risk losing the sale. And there's one other missing element that may subconsciously kill the sale, and that's not using the word secure on the shopping cart page. The best place you can put that is right next to the word checkout. It's one thing to give shoppers options on how to browse for products and having them click or drill down to what they're actually trying to find. But when you ask for too much information, that's where many of them draw the line. From contact forms to checkout fields, we want to minimize what the shopper has to enter. We also tend to provide too little or too much description of what we need. The checkout at Ginnies.com has several required fields. And it kicks off with an optional field called title. Now they're probably collecting this field so they know how to address somebody. But the best way to address anyone, whether they be a visitor or a customer, is by the first name. So title, in this sense, is an unnecessary field. It's an unnecessary menu that someone has to click or tap and make a selection. If your shopping cart's checkout is still defaulting to asking for a fax number, then unless you are working with other businesses that still use fax machines, ditch this field. And also consider if you actually need a phone number. Is it required or is it optional? And if you must have a phone number, do you need 2 of them? Most of the time, the answer to that is no, because most shoppers nowadays input their cell number anyway. Ginnies also asks the customer if he or she wants to go ahead and create an account, and if so, to input the desired password and a confirmation of that password. I think it's great if you want to integrate customer account creation with the checkout process itself because it saves a step. But if you're going to do this, generate a unique password for them and email it to them. That will save them 2 additional fields that they need to complete. You can just ask them to check a box that they'd like to create an account. If you are using CAPTCHA during the checkout process, get rid of it. Get rid of it on all the contact forms as well. There are many other tools that you can use to help eliminate spam. And when they're in the final checkout, make sure the shopping cart is configured to only display the shipping methods that apply to that specific ship to address. And you should also simplify the credit card entries. You should not have to ask for the card type when the card number itself will identify it. So check with your processor to see if that option is available. Now let's talk about shipping options themselves. Many of us are under the impression that the shipping cost is what makes or breaks the sale, but that's not always the case. The shipping options themselves could be causing problems. If you ship via various carriers, and you should be using at least 2 different carriers, it is possible that those methods are automatically being called in. If that is the case, then you may be able to modify the text that displays in the drop-down menu to the customer. So whenever you have the ability to control what's displayed on the screen, you want to make that as simple as possible. Let's look at 3 examples. The first one is from Food Network's site. They actually give you the shipping cost before you complete any of the address fields. So that indicates it's a flat rate shipping calculation. What they don't tell you is how your order is going to be shipped. And many people have a carrier of choice, and it's usually based on where the packages are left. The second one is from Ginnies. They tell you standard, expedited, or express, and they give you the cost and about how many days it would take to reach the customer. However, again, they don't tell you which carrier is being used. So if somebody is adamantly against the Postal Service or UPS from delivering the package to their doorstep, they may then have to go hunting around your site to see who you use. The third example is from Van Halen's store. Van Halen's store makes it very clear how packages are going to be shipped and through which carrier. So in this example, the customer has the option to use the Postal Service for first class mail or priority mail, or FedEx for ground, 2-day, or overnight. By giving the customers options and showing them exactly how their items are going to be shipped, you will find that several are willing to pay more for the shipping so that it arrives a certain way through a certain carrier. While all of the mistakes I've discussed thus far are widespread, the worst is the inconsistency between desktop and mobile sites. Many consumers nowadays do research on desktop, tablet, and smartphones, and those actions can all be grouped into a single shopping session. When we first started building our mobile stores, we were under the impression that people would be shopping solely on a smartphone or on a tablet while they were away from home. And now we're finding that really is not the case. We actually built 2 different platforms. And even when we went to responsive websites, there were things we were leaving out of the mobile versions for the sake of simplicity. But there's a problem with that. If someone starts their shopping session on a desktop site and they're used to all the bells and whistles and features that they may very well use, and then they jump over to the mobile version and those features are no longer available, it can get very confusing. This is especially the case on product search, product pages, and the checkout process. And it's not just features, it's actual functionality. On a product page on Kohl's site, on the desktop version, one can view the questions and answers, which are shopper-to-shopper Q&A, on any product, simply by scrolling down the page. When they want to get back to other information about the product, they can just scroll up or down. On the mobile version, however, they have to tap to read the questions and answers, and then they are left with no actual way to move back to the product details unless they go to the bottom of their device and choose the back button in the browser itself. This can get confusing. Consistency during checkout is key, and here's where Amazon does it wrong. On Amazon's desktop site, it displays your default shipping address and your default payment method with the hyperlinked word change next to it. On the mobile version, however, it just puts a little gray arrow in the right-hand side without the word change, so it may not be as apparent to the customer that they can actually change that information. The result? The customer gives up on the checkout during the mobile site. They may decide later to go back to desktop to complete the checkout process, or they may go somewhere else to find the same or similar product. Also, on the mobile site, Amazon's checkout does not give you the option to pay with credit card reward points, which is a huge selling point of shopping with that site. And they don't make the additional shipping options as apparent either. While I've only touched on a few things here, I do challenge you to go back and look at your company's e-commerce site, both on desktop and mobile, and take a look to see if you took steps to simplify the mobile shopping experience. Did you oversimplify to the point that it's confusing people who want to use 2 devices to control a single shopping session? While we don't have tons of time to go through every single possible scenario, I do hope that I've touched on some points that will help you stop killing conversions. We talked about confusing product page elements, complicated shopping carts, the request of way too much information, the unnecessary shipping choices, and how shipping options can actually hold more weight than just shipping costs, and the inconsistency between desktop and mobile sites. We'll be answering your questions in a few minutes, but right now I'd like to turn this over to Andy Friedman, Riskified's Chief Marketing Officer. Welcome, Andy.
Well, thank you, Pamela, and I appreciate the opportunity to take you all through a little bit more about Riskified and how we help with the problem of revenue-killing issues faced by e-commerce retailers. So by way of introduction, my name is Andy Friedman. I'm Riskified's Chief Marketing Officer, and again, really happy to be with you all today to talk about a topic near and dear to my heart. So first I want to share with you a statistic that many of you may not be aware of, and it's the problem of false declines or wrongly rejected legitimate customers that on transactions that are happening on your websites. In the U.S. market alone, over $9 billion is lost to the problem of false declines on online transactions in mobile commerce in the past year. And if we think about that, these are legitimate customers who are being rejected after they've entered their credit card details and it's been authorized. If we were able to solve that problem, the results or the impact to your bottom line would be the equivalent of 3 more Black Fridays every year without bringing in a single new customer. And when I'm spending my time talking to e-commerce executives, oftentimes this challenge, this problem of how many declined transactions are happening on their site, is an unknown. So as a first kind of recommendation, I'd really strongly recommend that you ask your teams or dig into this statistic. And if we dig into this a little bit further, the reaction to this problem is very powerful and important information to know. So consumers have strong reactions when they're wrongly rejected from your sites. In fact, 66% of online shoppers who are wrongly declined reduce or stop altogether coming back to a merchant's site. This is even more prevalent or a stronger reaction within the millennial consumer, which is growing and growing as the size of your retailer kind of marketplaces, I'm sure. And 75% of millennial consumers are having a strong reaction when wrongly rejected. So getting into a little bit of where Riskified comes in and how we solve the problem, our goal and our core mission is to help provide a better solution to fraud prevention for online retailers, primarily by doing 3 things. The first is by guaranteeing an increase in the approval rate that our customers experience, helping you sell more. The second thing is we don't just provide an indication of risk. We give you a decision, and we say yes or no, approve or decline, and that is guaranteed with a chargeback guarantee. So in the event of a wrong decision or a chargeback on an order Riskified is approved, you don't have to worry because we cover that cost. And the third thing that's very important from the customer experience is we make sure that we give you an instant decision. No more long delays in manual review, no more reaching out to customers to verify their information. We get back with you with a clear and instant yes or no that you can act on in confidence. How do we do that is usually the next question I get asked. It's very advanced and sophisticated technology that involves everything from behavioral analytics, looking at the way consumers browse through your site, incorporating that into the most advanced machine learning models, and looking across the ecosystem to see where we've seen this consumer's behavior or this consumer's information before. That allows us to give the accuracy that we expect and demand on ourselves and for our retailers. So just to kind of close, I'll share with you a few of the customers today that we have, and we're proud to be partnering with Riskified across many, many verticals, across fashion and digital goods, and including partners in the payments industry who are trusting Riskified to deliver our service and help to grow their business. Lastly, not to take up too much of your time, I'll leave you with a link to our website and my contact information. You can always reach out to me directly to talk more about Riskified and our solution. And if there's nothing else, we can move quickly back into the Q&A, and I'll turn it back over. Thanks.